We are here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bring news just for you. It's Tuesday, November 5th here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, and this is News Generation. Today, we're joined by Cheska Dayan-hong.
Happy Tuesday, everyone!
Happy Tuesday! And Fabio Gonzalez.
Lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you. Both are here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. It's Tuesday, so we're going to begin with our keyword news. Today's keyword is quitting. A new survey shows that a majority of young civil servants, those in their 20s and 30s in South Korea, have considered quitting their jobs. According to a survey of around 3,000 civil servants by the Korean Government Employees Union Busan branch, nearly 75.5% said they had thought about leaving. The top reasons cited were low pay, excessive administrative tasks, unnecessary meetings, difficult complaints from the public, and an unhealthy organizational culture. And this is an issue we can't ignore, especially considering the recent deaths of several young civil servants this year, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I would like to say otherwise, reports like these are truly disheartening, really sad. And given that I am of the age that these people have committed some dire choices, it truly is heart-wrenching. As much as I would like to say otherwise, I'm not in the public field, but I just want to say that these are public servants that are out in the forefront defending our lives and trying to make our lives better.
Right.
So I really hope there are some protective measures for people who are trying to do something that is really improving the quality of every citizen out there.
Exactly.
And I do hope that there are some maybe, I don't know, mental counseling or places where people can really take care of themselves when it comes to dealing with the public, because it is the most, I guess, sort of pressuring mental labor.
Right,
if you think about it, right? Because you have to deal with every type of people that come.
Exactly.
And some people are just not the most polite or the most qualified when it comes to communicating. So I hope that we have more protective measures for people like these.
Right. I think you mentioned a really good point there, working for our welfare and well-being. So I think now is the time for us to really take care of their well-being and their mental health as well. Now, Fabio, I want to ask you, we are seeing this situation here in Korea, but are young civil servants or public servants in Spain also seeing similar situations or challenges?
Well, I'm pretty shocked because it's actually kind of different in Spain. I feel like these jobs are usually considered a little less troubling than the private sector. So I think that's interesting because in Spain, this kind of jobs are usually offering much more stability, better pension plans, and just overall great work conditions. Obviously, there's still some cases of unfairness or abuse and tough conditions, but I don't think it really got to a point where it's just a systematic thing that we can generalize. It's not as big as in Korea. So I just hope that there's this policies, or at least just some work that can actually provide this better positive work atmosphere in South Korea.
Right, so definitely need more policies and protective measures to really protect the mental health of these public servants. And that was our keyword news for this Tuesday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion of the day. It's Tuesday, time to explore the latest trends on Korea's cultural front here on News Generation. Let's take a look at the screen to find out more.
It's been nearly a month since South Korean author Kang won this year's Nobel Prize in Literature. Her win has not only boosted book sales, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago on NewsGen, but is also inspiring more young people to consider careers in writing, a field often seen in Korea as challenging in terms of success and financial stability.
So Kang's influence is still going strong, both in Korea and internationally, and many people are now waiting for her to attend the prestigious Nobel Prize award ceremony, which will take place next month, December, in Sweden. So I want to ask our panelists, are you also noticing this Kang sensation as well?
Oh, I absolutely am. And it seems like everyone is talking about it, even so my foreign friends are very keenly interested. So this is quite amazing. And a lot of people have been quiet about the book.
Right.
And I think one of the best indicators that we can use to gauge or sort of assess this level of heated interest or passion in Kang is if we turn to look at how much of her books are sought after the Nobel Prize win. So let's take a look at the screen to see the changes. So this was remarkably interesting. The announcement of a Nobel Prize was on October 10th. 10-10. But if you look at the number of book loans prior to that, just the day before, on the 9th, according to the sources from the National Library of Korea, it was as low as 13.
So 13 books are only lended on that day?
Yeah, exactly. Just the day before.
Wow.
Now, come October 10th and 11th, the number rose to as high as over 7,000.
Wow.
Wow.
And just to give you the magnitude of this jump, the 4 days after the Nobel Prize announcement showed an increase of 1,300%.
Wow.
Prior to the 4 days prior to the Nobel Prize win.
I mean, all I can say is wow now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, all you need to see is the huge jump.
Yeah, it's like a
really.
mountain.
So that is about an average of, people say, about 3 book loans per minute.
Oh.
So in fact, I've read several news articles about people desperately trying to buy books, almost like scrambling to the bookstores as they're being sold out really quickly. And I myself am a reader, so it's so wonderful to
Right.
see good books not only get the attention, but are people are actually purchasing it
Yes.
and like sought after. There was a very interesting article about how some people read now for intellectual vanity, quote, quote.
Is that why you're wearing the glasses today?
full of vanity. Do you not see? It's like entire vanity in representation. But I think it has much more benefits, to be honest, on a more
Yes.
serious note, when it comes to consuming literature and books.
Right.
Because I think it is really about time that a generation go from this to maybe this.
Right. Books seem to be making a comeback.
Yeah, I really hope so.
And this is definitely giving a boost not only to the books or authors, but also the publishing industry as well. And I also want to ask you, Fabio, Cheska talked about the situation in Korea, how we're seeing this big hangang and book fever.
The huge jump.
Right.
Huge jump.
So are we seeing something similar overseas as well?
Definitely. I think she's captivating people's hearts all around the world. And European countries are no exception. For example, in my home country, Spain, all of her books are translated into Spanish. And the topics she discusses in her books have become so trendy that she's making a lot of headlines. And family and friends, although a lot of them are not necessarily reading the books, they are interested in the idea of it.
And they
or at
know
least
about hangang, right?
They know about her and they are talking about her. And I feel like that's very interesting. I also decided to ride the same train. So I'm reading one of her
intellectual vanity
books.
train.
Yes. I'm reading one of her books. The title is 소년이 온다 in Korean, but the English title is Human Acts, a Novel. And it's actually a pretty nice book. I would say that I'm having a very hard time because this book is the original version in Korean. So I'm struggling with the language a little bit and trying to find what that unique style is. But overall, a pretty good book. And I feel like this really prompts me to talk about a very interesting topic, which is the translations. So many people argue that her books have reached this kind of international success thanks to the great translators that she used.
Right.
Many people have been skeptical, though, saying that there are some inconsistencies and that these translated books don't really have the same style or the same delivery as the original ones. But the author actually defends this, saying that these changes are necessary to adapt her own style and what she says to a different cultural context, which I think is very interesting. For example, Deborah Smith, she did the English translation for The Vegetarian.
Right.
And she actually shared the Man Booker International Prize back in
Yes,
2016 with Hangang.
Yeah.
This goes to show that beyond the language barrier, the topics she discusses in her books just pretty much reach people all over the world.
Right, they're very relatable. That's why it resonates with global readers. Now, with Hangang's remarkable Nobel Prize win, many are now wondering if we'll soon see a second or third Hangang in Korea, maybe another Nobel Prize in Literature laureate. And her success seems to be changing perceptions about authors and more broadly, those studying or pursuing careers in humanities, studies that explore human culture, thought, and expression such as philosophy, history, linguistics, art, and cultural studies. So, Cheska, are you also feeling that this perception is shifting here in the country?
When you posed this question, Eugene, I thought it was very interesting and almost like notable because especially for Korea and its current industry climate just globally, Korea has always been a leader in the IT industry. And even now more so owing to the fact that there's a huge boom in like AIs, metaverse, and just everything that's related to technology. It is quite no secret that the so-called STEM, the science, tech, and engineering subjects, are more sought after as the practical and even lucrative academic.
Like having a bright future.
Exactly. And I think when the public sort of pushes you in that way, it is really hard to make a choice that is different from what the society or maybe your parents expect from you. Like even in America, there has always been like these tongue-in-cheek jokes about the starving artist. Like if you do a liberal arts major, you'll work in McDonald's, like why are you going after the lofty ideals? So I mean, the list goes on, but it's no different apparently here in South Korea as well. And I think that is why Hangang's win is a win for everyone.
Right.
It just lifts up everyone together. And in fact, also the fact that she's the first Asian woman ever to win the prize also adds the level of significance. I mean, books clubs have been booming, and I do hope that the ripple effect actually travels far and wide. And as Fabian talked about, I think the message that she's delivering is also very important.
Exactly.
So I do hope that we have next trailblazers and history makers who hopefully would win Nobel Prize, but more important than that, someone who is willing to challenge what hasn't been challenged before and push those boundaries, I think is what is important.
And for that to happen, it would be great to see the humanities or the literary field to become a sought-after career field, not only here in Korea, but in other parts of the world.
Absolutely.
And Fabio, I want to ask you the same question. Are you also seeing this perception change towards those studying in humanities or those pursuing career literature?
I'm seeing the possibility of people becoming more interested in this field, and also the possibility of some businesses, like for example bookstores, kind of thriving in this situation. I feel the impact myself because I have been craving a good book for a while, and I just took on the opportunity of her being so popular. Maybe it's the vanity we talked about before, but it just really prompted me to read the book. So I think that's great, and I hope that actually helps other people to like find other authors too, and just like pretty much promote reading. But beyond that, I think the importance lies in values and what she brings to the table, the topics that she speaks about in her books. And to resonate with such a wide audience, you really need to touch on something that is so deeply emotional or that really represents society as a whole to the point where people can really feel it in their hearts. And I still have to complete my readings to tell myself, but many people have spoken about how she depicts women's struggles or historical trauma, and she does it by criticizing a very judgmental society that she lives in. And one of the most interesting things for me is that she is a Korean author, and most of her books are based on the Korean culture, but she has this international success. So there's this very interesting intertwining between her being this powerful force of representation for Korean culture, but at the same time being vulnerable and pretty much unfolding many negative aspects about her home country and Korean culture and history. I feel like overall the most important part is just not thinking about her as this genius or as this a badge of honor that we can flaunt. I think the real important thing is the discussions she brings and the discussions that we should have so that the things that she criticizes in her books can actually find solution.
Right, definitely.
And Yujin, if I may just add one more real quick comment. I really love what Fabio said, because I think what it did was, because this history was unraveled through literature, something like Pachinko, I think it really put Korea on the map. The Korean history or the Korean culture that is sometimes not really seen by the outsider, but being able to be sort of naked about it, being honest about it, even controversial, as we talked about, I think is something that is, very revolutionary, and I think that's what is important when it comes to Nobel Prize wins like this.
And I think that's what really attracts more international readers, because they get to know more in depth about Korea and another country's culture. Right, so as we're talking about the impact of Hangang's Nobel Prize win in literature, we also asked our viewers how studying or working in the humanities is viewed in their country. And here are some of their responses. Our first comment is from RKZLTV. Can't deny that the humanities are overlooked these days, largely because well-paying jobs in this field can be hard to come by, but they teach us what makes us human, both intellectually and morally, and that's why we need the humanities today more than ever. Terraspell4740 says, in the United States, it has a mixed reputation. BennyD97, these days it is still being handled well, especially if you are planning to be a teacher or a broadcaster. So we've taken a look at our viewers' comments. And to learn more about the impact of Hangang's Nobel Prize win, we're now going to invite a book club member to join our talks after a short break.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang.News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
So today we're joined by Brian Min, a millennial who is leading a book club here in Korea. Welcome, Brian, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So Brian, first off, can you tell us how your book club works? For example, what kind of books do you typically read and discuss with your members?
Yeah, sure. So I've been organizing a book club called Reading Minds. It is a reading community for entrepreneurs. Some of them started their own business. Some of them find themselves in the ecosystem of startups. And you'll be surprised, they bring such diverse range of books to our meetings because we don't have designated books that we read. They just bring their choice of books to delve into for about an hour or so. And at the end, we share the summary of what we've read with each other and what it means to and how it relates to our lives. And you'll be surprised the connecting dots we have, even though we all read different books. And it ranges from the essays to fictions, autobiographies, and art-related books. So it's a really good way to have a sneak peek of what you don't normally read and get out of your comfort zone.
Brian, you know that I'm a big fan of your book club because, as you said, you provide so much diversity when it comes to reading and we learn from each other. So now, since Hangang's Nobel Prize win, have you ever noticed growing interest in literature and, more broadly speaking, in the humanities among our generation to diversify their interest?
Yeah, I think you all covered very well that, it has become such a popular topic these days, right? But we'll see how this continues. I do want to raise a quick point that I think we are getting a little bit tired of this pursuit for perfect life, to be speak. This never-ending, self-improving lifestyle that, we have to become more rich. We want to be more productive and efficient. And there has been such a strong trend of content focusing on, this kind of books and social media. But at some point, you reach a point where, I need a little bit of break. And I need to take a look around and think to myself, what have I been missing? And how can I dig deeper on finding the answers for what really makes us who we are? And I think Hans Nobel Prize came at the right time where people were, lost and looking for this particular food for thoughts. And so I only hope that her winning Nobel Prize really strengthens the case that our society really need more of the humanities and literature to make our lives fuller and well-grounded.
Do you think this renewed interest in literature and the humanities will continue?
I think this is only the beginning, and I only think the interest will grow, but it's also on us to, really delve into the activity of reading and focus on how that makes our lives so much better. That's one way to look back on our lives and see what we can do to invest on ourselves.
Great. All right, Brian, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, so throughout the past few weeks after Kang won the Nobel Prize, we talked a lot about what kind of impact her win is currently making, for example, bringing back the book boom.
Yes.
And also now sparking a great interest in not only the literary field, but also in humanities. So ending off, I want to ask you, are there any impacts or changes you expect or you'd like to see in the future?
I mean, today we had a range of discussion about so many things that it can have a ripple effect on. But I think her win is monumental in so many ways.
Right.
as I mentioned earlier, she's the first female Asian ever to win a Nobel Literature Prize. And there's one thing that kind of resonated quite deeply with me ever since the announcement of her win. As a writer myself and being bilingual, I was always able to see the beauty and the intricacy and the layers that the Korean language was able to convey. And this delicate nature of the language, as Fabio discussed when he's reading the book, sometimes can't be quite perfectly captured through translation or interpretation. And of course, it might happen vice versa. Now, out of 121 Nobel Prize Lit winners so far, more than half of them were predominantly English-speaking culture. So to have Kang's win, along with many of those who christened the literature world with not only creative diversity, but also cultural and more importantly, gender-wise, I think is truly significant in many ways. And I do hope that her win inspires many, many more trailblazers and new history being made so that it can really inspire all of us to make new history.
Right, and as much as we expect more good authors to come out, I also hope that we'll be able to see the nurturing of great translators because they are the ones who really bring these great works to global readers worldwide. And what do you expect, Fabio?
Well, I'm expecting the conversation to open up even more. I think we have talked about gender, being the first Asian writer to get this kind of opportunity, right? And I think that she's also very open about the topics she discusses, being grotesque at times, which have been criticized, but I feel like it's also like her personal style, right?
Being grotesque to the point of delicate, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I feel like I still have to do a lot of my reading to actually tell about her personal style. But overall, I think she unfolds this patriarchy and judgmental society, and she does it in a way where her ideas might not click with everyone, but sometimes we do need to talk about these topics. And I feel like the importance of this lies in that it's not only South Korea, it's a lot of countries where we still have conversations that are not taking place, like anti-discrimination, societal pressure, or underlying pain that are stuck in society, and they shouldn't fall into oblivion.
Right, definitely. And we'll bring more discussions on Kang's impact after her Nobel Prize win here on News 10. And that's all from us today, but we'll be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Special thanks today to Cheska Dainho.
Pleasure's always mine, thank you.
Thank you. And Fabio Gonzalez.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. We are News Generation.